Good afternoon. Welcome to another market close. We're here. It's Friday. This is your gateway to the weekend. So hopefully the weekend's going to turn out awesome for everybody. We got a red market today. Hence, of course, we got the red sign up there. after the last couple of days and the greens we've had, I was kind of hoping we could have coasted into the weekend on a green, but no, we don't. We don't have a green. Now one of the big catalysts today, of course, is the jobs information, the jobs data. It did drop both for Canada and the U.S., and we're gonna take a look at that probably after the bell. So that should be fun. But in the meantime, our first little trip on this afternoon journey is well, let's take a look at the charts. Holy banana bread, look at this. So this is look at the journey that Bitcoin since 63,000, they've been going down, 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 and now we get a bounce. We do have a bounce here, but holy banana bread. So yeah, there has definitely been a little bit of a drop on the Bitcoin. So I think a lot of people, it's one of these things that everybody's expecting Bitcoin to go up because of the halving. In the history, that's what Bitcoin has always done. So far, we're seeing a little bit of a struggle. Doesn't mean we're not going to go up, but it's definitely interesting. Now, the thing that's interesting too is there's kind of a shock on the market itself. A lot of the exchanges don't have a lot of inventory. So the inventory is dropping, but so is the price. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I know one of the things that has been going on is there has been a little bit of a sell-off that was going to happen today. And I think that's freaked people out big time. So we'll have to watch over the weekend, see if it can recover, or if it's going to, see if it gets back above 60K over the weekend. That would be very healthy. So we'll see what happens. But we're here for the charts. Look at this TSX. We're down 0.64%, deep in the red. The S&P 500, though, it's in the green. It is above by about 0.55. NASDAQ's almost a full percent up. Gold's having a good day, 1.43%. Silver, an even better day. How often is it that silver's having a better day? Almost always lately. Almost always. WTI is down, and Bitcoin, it's down a little bit. It's saying 0.68%. And that's probably kind of accurate because we did make up, this was today. We made up most of that. So, we've had a big seesaw of a day for sure. All right, let's go over and look at the heat map. So for Canada, holy banana bread, got a lot of red. We got a lot of red. There's a lot of red in the banks. You can see BMO down 1.43%. I think that might mean that Vic was buying some today. TD's down a little bit. Over here in minerals, CNQ's down a full 1.51%. Over in transportation, both railroads are down. Holy banana bread. Even Alimentation Couche-Tard, they're down 0.23%. But Loblaws is up. They're up a full 1.19%. So that's not too shabby. And Bell seems to have finally be, I don't want to say rallying, but at least their fall. They fell a little bit again, but they're down 0.1. Both TELUS and Rogers, though, have creeped up a tiny bit. Though overall, telecommunications flat, pretty flat today. All right, switching to our ETF heat map, and we can see VFE once again looking good. It's in the green. What can I say? The battle between I can zoom into the battle between XEQT and VEQT. Pretty close, minus 0.12, minus 0.13. So I'll call it a draw. We'll call that one a draw today. All right, over to the US. Oh, here's Tesla. So Tesla is still doing really, really well. So right now they're up to $240. Oh, as we spoke, they hit $250. So not too shabby, but let's back out of them and we'll take a look at the overall map. You can see Apple's up 1.90%. Nvidia's down about a little over 1%. Amazon's up. Walmart's up. Costco's up. Google's up. Meta, look at Meta. Meta's having a pretty good day. They've had a little bit of a bump up here, going up to 540. And Tesla over here. So Tesla is still up, but it's slowed down a little bit. But I mean, look at this. I mean, this is still a really good bump. I mean, they've had a nice ride. They've had a nice ride on these earnings. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right, let's jump over to crypto. Like I said, we got a lot of red. Not entirely though. Look at Solana. Solana's up 5.74%. And we can, of course, pick on, I think, you know what, instead of scrolling in, I'm just going to randomly pick somewheres down in here and we'll see what we get. So this is the random crypto coin I probably have never heard of. Okay, it's the SS Lazio fan token. All right, so SS, that's got to be a British thing. No, or maybe, I don't know. It's is it a ship? Is it something on an anime? I don't know. But whatever it is, it's worth $1.24 a coin. I've never heard of it. I probably will never buy it. But yeah, this is our crypto coin I probably don't know for the day, the SS Lazio. Any of you who know what SS Lazio is all about, hit us up in the chat. Maybe Brett is serving on the SS Lazio. I just don't know. Brett and his cat. All right. Okay, let's get to the chat. Holy banana bread. All right. So we have Jungle Eddie first in the house. I am here early. Those are bragging rights. Those are bragging rights. Usually it's somebody else with an "Am I late?" who's first, but not today. Jungle says, my first question is, I am up 10% on the first half of the year. Well, congratulations on that, first of all. Will the second half be as rosy? I'm actually thinking the second half. I'm thinking the fall is going to be really good. And we could even see that beginning as early as August. So I am expecting the second half of the year to be better. So we'll have to definitely see. Hopefully I'm right. Well, we'll know. We'll know for sure. Vic says avoiding the Friday rush hour. Yeah, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Mary says happy Friday. Don't forget, guys, hit that like button. Hit the like button right now. If you've not hit it yet, hit it. Let it turn blue. I'll give you a minute to do that while I have a sip of coffee. I can taste a little blue, but not a lot. So yeah, definitely hit that like button. Okay, Prairie's in the house. Good afternoon and happy Friday, everyone. Finally made it to another market close. And I miss you all from Prairie. Vic is saying, Manitoba, represent. And the LCBO on strike. Yes, we have a liquor strike going on here. Who knows how long it's going to last? Now, here's the funny thing. I think they just started to go on strike like Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. I would have gone on strike before the long weekend, but I do know that while it was in the news building up to the strike, their sales were pretty darn good as people were stocking up on their spirits. So, but keep in mind, you can also get, you can get alcohol in the stores now. You can go and get beer at like the Walmart. So I haven't actually seen the beer at the Walmart, but I did notice the last time I went to Walmart, I was picking up a prescription, and there was a sign that said, we can't bring beer in at the pharmacy. And I was like, oh, okay, that's different. I've never seen a sign like that before, but yeah, absolutely. Vic says, how to celebrate 4K subs. Well, we've already got our celebration planned. So 4K subs, that's going to happen soon. We're going to do an open to close. So a market open close. That's what we'll call it. It's going to be like oh gosh, it's probably going to be close to 8 hours in total, that stream. It's going to be absolutely off the chart. It's going to be off the chart. So I'm preparing, and I know at least one of you guys the other day have requested I do that on a Friday. So I'm going to do it on a Friday. I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we'll do it on a Friday. So When are we going to hit 4,000 subs? Probably soon, sooner than later. We're already past, it's less than 50 to go. So, and 50 subs can happen quickly. It depends. It really depends. But yeah, it's going to happen sooner. It'll be July. Probably, I'll even go as far as betting second or third week of July. I'm going to say we're probably before, definitely before the end of July. Prairie picked up more CNR and PZA. So Canadian National Railway and Pizza. Now I will tell you guys right now, I added another share of CNR to the 0 to 100K challenge because that's what I was waiting. I was waiting for a little bit of a correction. We got it. So I have added it for for my July buy. So that's the first buy of the month. CNR 1 share. I have a feeling Prairie may have picked up more than one, though. Prairie says today that is Good Vibes is in the house. Hello, Good Vibes. We got Bismarcky saying Happy Friday, all. And we have Muhammad. Let's see. I tried to be a value investor, and obviously I was wrong. I should have gambled with the trend. My value investments are going nowhere. Okay, and that's the tough thing sometimes with a value investor. You're looking at a value. Sometimes you buy some of your good stocks, your solid stocks, your stocks that are going to be great long term. But then you got these ones going on around you. For example, right now, Tesla is exploding, and you may be one of these people that's like, I didn't get in on Tesla. NVIDIA had their explosion, and maybe you're like one of these ones that's like, I didn't get in on NVIDIA. So it can be tough sometimes. But once we get past all this red craziness, and once we get into a full-blown bull market, that's when you're going to see these value stocks starting to pick up and starting to do a lot better. So patience does work. And what I normally say, too, is you don't need to have, your entire portfolio does not need to be value stocks. You don't need to have 100% blue chip. You want to have enough blue chip to provide an overall stability and foundation in your portfolio. But, you can look at having some income. If you want a little bit of income, you can have some income stocks. Some people like to have, as I've talked about before, that play money. So you have a little bit of play money on the side, which is where, you take those more risky moves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it all comes down to the way you've structured your portfolio, the amount of risk, of course, that you are comfortable with. And sometimes it'll come down to your age, too. So, for example, somebody who's already in retirement and they're basically running their portfolio as an income portfolio, they probably aren't going to have a lot of play money on the side. They're probably going to be very down to business, maximizing their income that they've got coming out. All right. Joe says, and it's Joe Deo. Every time I see that, I think Joe Doe. I think like a Joe Doe. Joe Doe. John Doe. I think John Doe. I don't know why. But anyway, Joe Deo says, welcome. What do you think of ATH? Or BTE? Well, let's start with BTE first of all, because we've been sort of talking a little bit about it. And I'm paying attention here. If it looks like I'm getting distracted, it's because it's almost time for the bell. Time is flying by pretty fast. With Bell, I am still bullish long term on Bell. I think that the lows that we are at now are, I don't think they can go much lower. Their fundamentals are not that bad. I recently did a deep dive on them. So I am still bullish on Bell. I think Bell is going to recover. I think Bell's going to look nice in about, in 3 years. You'll be one of these. If you are looking at Bell 3 years from now, you'll be like, oh gosh, sure wish I could have got some of that in 2024. I think Bell's going to do well. So that's kind of the whole thing with Bell. And I do like them. I do like them a lot. Bismarcky says, I have a cabinet full of liquor. Clients buy me liquor every Christmas, but I'm a beer drinker. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, we got a bunch of liquor somewheres in the house, because we don't drink. Well, I mean, Jill occasionally, but I can. It's time. It is time. Here we go. And we are off to the weekend. All right. Welcome to the weekend, folks. the market's closed. No more trading, no more buying until Monday. So that's not too shabby. All right, let's see. Prairie says, you know me well, Candace. Couldn't resist the dip. Perfect. Perfect. Vic says, Bismarcky, can I come over for some liberations? There we go. Informant. Hello, your thoughts on TELUS for the second half. So when we're looking at, and I'm going to put all three right now into that same basket. So TELUS, Bell, and Rogers. That sector has struggled a little bit. And as we start to see more rate cuts, that's going to do wonders for that sector. So if we get, let's say we get our second rate cut September, and then maybe another one, maybe maybe October, maybe December. But at that point, I think once we get that second one, it's going to start to make people feel a little bit less. What is it? Tightening the strings is going to become a little bit less of a thing. So that is going to be. Oh, sorry. I was just looking at the next question. I'll be there in a second. So, but yeah, I do think I think TELUS is going to do a little bit better in the second half of the year. I'm not expecting things to explode big time, but I think we're going to see the beginnings of that. I think 2025 will be a big year for telecommunications. We should see a little bit of that in the fall, which is good. And yes, I read BCE. I totally misread that. BTE, Baytex Energy. All right, perfect. Let's pull Baytex up. I haven't looked at them in a while, but I have in the past. Whoops. Let's not do that. I have in the past dabbled in them, and I do like them. I do like them overall as a company. All right, BTE. Actually, I think I swung trade them a bit too. All right, let's see here. We're going to go initially to their 3-year. So yeah, they were doing good at one point. This is probably in the area when I was playing with them the most. But they've kind of come down a little bit. So yeah, they've been pretty much flat. But overall, I have been a little bit of a fan. Now, when we look here, and I'm trying to see if I can get some data. I don't have an EPS there. Let's go right away. We're going to go in here and take a look. Oh, they're in trouble, aren't they? That's not good. As I said, I haven't looked at them in a while, but the fact that they have a negative return on equity means that right now they're running into some profitability issues. I'm kind of curious here. Let's actually pull up Simply Wall Street on this one. All right. BTE. Baytex. All right, let's see here. I'm just going to take a look. Well, that's interesting. Right now, they're not. Normally, I would see in here a little bit more about them, especially if they're in a situation where they're unprofitable. Let's see. Earnings are forecast to decline an average of 6.4%. So, what's going on with Baytex? That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. I kind of want to go in. Yeah, I will use a full one on here. So let's see. So they're very undervalued right now. All right, let's take a look at their price to earnings. Okay, so yeah, they're definitely having some issue right now. So a negative 13.3 on their price to earnings ratio. And here's the thing. And this is kind of the concerning part about this. They are in a sector right now that is doing okay. They are doing okay, but they're just not reflecting it. So something is going on with Baytex. I'm kind of curious here. Give me a second here. Let's take a look at a couple little things I want to look at here. What's going on there? That's interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Just coming down here. Let's come down here into the ownership. So, well, that's interesting. So all of the recent insiders have been buying. They haven't really been selling. So that's a good sign. That is a good sign. So right now, the last time we had three to 6 months ago, we had a little bit of insider selling, but mostly the people who work there are actually pretty confident with the company. So we're seeing a lot of insider buying compared to very little insider selling. So hopefully, oh gosh, Baytex, what are you doing? What are you doing? I definitely want to research these guys a little more. You know what? I will put them up in the next vote. I'll put them up in the next vote. So let me just come right over here to Discord. I'll add it here because this way here, I'll know. I will put them up in the next vote. See if we can get a deep dive on them because I'd love to go a little bit deeper into Baytex right now. All right, BTE. There we go. And I will even put next. So I will put them up. You guys who want to see this, definitely come and vote. I'll get that vote up this weekend because I'm hoping to have this one scripted on Tuesday. So we need to get a few things going there. All right. Oh, I cannot believe it. I just showed you guys a whole bunch of stuff and I didn't have the screen up. All right. So yeah, going back here to Baytex. So what I was showing you guys is, let's see here. Okay, here we are. I was showing you guys this over here, the green. These are the insider buying. These are the insider selling. So that's what I was sort of showing you guys, the difference between those. That's kind of one thing that I thought was kind of interesting. And I also showed you guys right over here. Whoops. Let's come back here. Yeah, we were looking at their price to earnings, negative 13.3x. So we're looking at a little bit of that. So yikes. Yeah. Oh, dear. All right. Prairie says, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, Mario's in the house. Good afternoon. Let's see. She's not a oil girl. There we go. Mario, I had Baytex. Sad it's not going up in price. Yeah, I know. I used to swing Baytex. Oh gosh, at least a couple of years ago. So, Jay, I just bought QMax. Good 7% dividend return in all tech equities. Yeah, QMax is pretty interesting. And those of you who there's a lot of new different ETFs that are coming out there. So let's go to QMax here for a second. All right, here we are. This was on Baytex. QMax. All right, here we go. So QMax is the Hamilton Yield Maximizer technology. And I'm just going to go to let's go to the 1 year. So you can sort of see they began back in October. So October, and look at this. This has just been nothing but a heading up. And in addition to that, you're getting a nice size dividend here. Let me see here, 10.565%. So QMax is doing really, really well. Definitely something worth riding up if you're looking to do that. Let's see, BTE, what are you doing? I'm selling all of my shares. I know. I just can't believe it. I know when one of the things I liked about BTE back when I used to do day trading for it, I could almost chart its price very closely to the price of WTI. So one of the things I liked is a lot of time with WTI, if I watch WTI and I see WTI start to drop, I knew within seconds BTE was going to drop. So sometimes I could time it a little bit because of just there used to be a tiny delay between what was happening with oil and what was happening with BTE. But yeah, they've oh gosh, they've had some troubles. Mario says QMax is doing good. Yeah, QMax is just absolutely kicking it. Joe says, should I trade my gold, my share of BTE for IM Gold? Well, let's look at IM Gold. All right, IM Gold. Here we go, IMG. All right, let's take a look at this. Now, we do know that gold's been having a pretty good year. So I am expecting more movement up. And we are getting it. We are getting a little bit of movement up. That's fantastic. I do like that. Definitely better than what BTE is doing right now. Now, this one, of course, is let's see. So we don't have a dividend on it, so that's fine. It looks like it's pure growth. And let's take a look at one little thing. We'll go into the key data quickly, and we'll come down here. So yeah, they're profitable. They've got a 6.25 return on equity, return on assets 3.13%. This is interesting. It looks like they at one point did have a dividend because we've got some dividend payments. But look at this. Look at the dates. So they had a dividend all the way back in 2013, and then they stopped it. So that's an indication that well, it's not really an indication. All it means is they had a dividend way back then. It doesn't mean they'll come back soon with one, but look at this as a growth stock. So not a bad selection. Not a bad selection. Yeah, I especially like with BTE. It's hard to say. And let's actually look. If we go back to BTE for a minute, let me just take a look here and see. Let's see. I'm looking for. Let's see. I'm moving really fast. All right. I think I overshot it. All right. Here we go. All right. Either that or else. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. All right. So this is basically a breakdown of analyst projections. So analyst projections on BTE. Now, here's the interesting thing. Look at this. Most analysts are sort of kind of in agreement that it's going to go up. So they're looking at 6.48% in 1 year. That's their 1 year target price. So if they're right, that's an increase of 31.6%. So gosh, I know you're thinking, should I trade that in right now for IM Gold? But if the analysts are right, you could potentially have, you could potentially be throwing away 31.6% for a smaller uptick on the IM Gold. So, and plus keep in mind, you also have it's not a great dividend on BTE, but it's one of these things like I would, if you're completely torn, there's nothing saying you have to completely close out your BTE. You could even go you could close out half of it and move that over to IM Gold. And I'll tell you, the neat thing about that is if you went that way, then you could sort of look at the two of them and sort of look at the returns over that time and see which move was the better move. But yeah, it's interesting. Like there's a couple of things with BTE is that we see that what the analysts are thinking. The fact that there's been so much insider buying compared to selling, it really kind of puts things in a positive light. But right now they are not profitable. Right now they do have some issues. But yeah. And the other thing that's really interesting too is just want to go to the overview. Sorry, right here. There's really not that much showing it in the love, for what's going on. Like normally we have a lot more risk analysis that's popping up. So I don't know. I don't know if I would do it. I think I would. I hate to say it. I think I would stick with the BTE. I think I would. But you have to make your own decision. Definitely. What I would definitely do 100% is hit the news articles on BTE. See if there's some kind of reason why they're having this issue. What's going on? What's causing it? Because that could be a big thing too to find out. All right. And before we jump down there, I just want to acknowledge Joe has dropped a $5 super sticker. So thank you, Joe. That is absolutely awesome. All right. Informant says, do you follow REITs? Thoughts on TNT once the distribution is reinstated? Okay, so REITs. Let me show you something. Well, I'll show you right now. I can't. I was going to show you these. I can't. I was going to show the 0 to 100K challenge and pull it over, but I don't. There's something. I made a change. I made a change in the challenge because the next episode is about rebalancing. As part of my rebalancing structuring, I want it to be a surprise. So I don't want to show it because you'll see it right away. So I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep that under wraps for now. But what I will say is I'll show you a couple little things here. Let's back over here, and we're going to look at something called RMAX. All right, so this is one of these new REITs. Not a REIT, sorry. One of these new ETFs for a REIT. It's a REIT ETF. So it's a Hamilton REITs Yield Maximizer. Now, this thing here, they don't have the distribution yield up yet still, but it's probably going to be somewhere in the, I'm just sort of guessing it's going to be around 10%. It might be higher, but we'll start with 10% just to be on the safe side. Okay, so let's take a look at it. This is a brand new REIT. It came out, it launched at pretty much $16. And right now it's already up to $16.27. So it's already doing well. Now, why is this happening? What is going on with REITs? Well, the big thing that's going on with REITs is, well, the interest rate cuts. As interest rates start to come down, that is only going to make things better for REITs, because you take a typical REIT, and we'll look at one. Let's take a look. We'll go to RioCan. All right, so here's RioCan, and I have this one as well in the challenge. It's a mostly residential REIT, which I like. Now, we'll look at them over the last 3 years. You can see they've been on that long downward track, but I'm thinking right now this is a great place to get in, because normally when you look at a REIT, and we'll go to the 10 years, you'll see they normally stay around the same level. So normally with RioCan, they're up around $25. That tends to be, they tend to oscillate up and down a little bit from that. Now, if you look where we're at now, that means that we have almost $10 just to make back up. And they almost like after this here, of course, is the pandemic. You can see it. We all fell off a cliff that day. They made it almost back. And then we went. So as you can see, this is what happens, right? They made it back to where they normally are, but then we went into a bear market. And then that bear market, we compounded with all of the rate hikes. And that absolutely did them in. And that's why they're down this low. They're going to come back. This is a great company. Now, part of the reasoning is when we go here into the key data. If you look here, and with this one here, they're not that bad, actually. Their debt to equity ratio is 94%, which basically means that for every dollar of assets they have 94 cents worth of debt. Now, that means that all of that debt has to be serviced. So paying the interest, for example, and that will, of course, get taken care of as we, as those rates come down, that number starts to come down, which means that there's a little more money in there, and that'll help them recover. And I think that's going to be good for them overall. So REITs, I think, are in for a good shape. Now, TNT, let's go here. TNT. There we go. So that's your True North commercial real estate. Now, this is where we have one small issue. With TNT, they have a lot of... all right, let's pull it up here and take a look here. All right, so they have a lot of commercial real estate properties. Now, commercial doesn't always mean office. Office towers right now is where we have a lot of the issues with a lot of vacancies and a lot of deals, and that can hurt some of these office REITs. But commercial means everything from stores. There's a lot of different things that fall under commercial and businesses. So I think they will be fine for that reason alone. Now, when we look at them, well, let's go to that 10-year as well. So you can see right here is their, this right here is the pandemic. Right here, there's their drop. So they normally sit around $38. Well, actually, right about here, so that looks better average. So around $35, we'll say. And they had their drop, and they came back quickly. And they went into a bear market, and then they went into the rate hikes. And now they're down at like $8.58. So they have a lot of room to recover to get back there. It's not going to happen fast, but it will. I mean, they will start moving in that direction. And I think a lot of REITs are really going to start improving. Now, that ETF I showed you guys, the RMAX, basically 50% Canadian REITs, 50% US REITs. So just something to keep in mind. So I do see this as coming back. Now we go into their key data. Let's see here. So in their case, and you can see right now, this is why they're so low. Right now, they're currently unprofitable. So we got minus 8.33% return on equity. And look at that. This is probably why. Look at this debt to equity ratio. So they have 181% debt to equity, meaning for every dollar that they have, they owe $1.81. So that's, the rates, higher rates are hurting them much more than something like a company like Rio can. And that's why as rates cut, they will benefit more. And this will start to help these numbers get back to the positive. So, TNX, I think it'll be a longer trek to get back to where they used to be than it will be with, say, with RioCan. But once we start getting some significant rate cuts, TNT should do better at that point. All right. Mario picked up some GRT. Nice. I love it, Joe. Speaking about that super sticker, right? Loved it. Joe says, I almost pumped IMG a year ago, but bought BTE and made no money. Yeah. That's difficult, and it's kind of interesting. And, definitely if you're going to stick with BTE, do some research first. Find out, see if there's anything in the news that indicates why they are just not doing so well. Did they make some acquisitions that went south? What happened there? All right. And let's see. Jay says, I noticed most ETFs that have Canadian exposure is down. Yeah, it depends on the ETF. It depends on the ETF for sure. But because you got to look at this, a Canadian exposure ETF, usually a lot of them tend to be pretty heavy on energy and financials. And those sectors haven't done as well. But a lot of the American ETFs, a lot of them have exposure to, depending on what you're looking at, but a lot of them have exposure to those tech companies that have been absolutely owning the charts. So, yeah, you got to TNT, it's dynamite. Yes. It is in a different world. Dynamite. Yep. Mario says, RMAX is my next ETF to pick up. Roku says, get into RMAX now, then sell Rio once it bounces back and buy more RMAX. Yeah, there we go. And that's the idea. Roku has a good idea. So the plan that I have in the challenge is once Rio gets back to that $25 area, or probably even 20, I'll probably settle at around 20. I'll sell out of them. I'll probably move some of that, a portion of that over to RMAX for sure. Because my goal with that one basically is just to ride it back up. So, not too shabby. Let's see. Kevin says Meta rocked it today. They sure did. Look at this. Well, I still have this up. Pull up Meta here for us. All right, here we go. Meta platforms. All right. So yeah, if we just let's go to the 3 month for now. You can sort of see right here, Meta had this nice jump. So yeah, overall right now, I think it's a tech world with AI being big. And be careful. And I always say this, when you look at like YouTube, you will see lots of people who will create videos saying the AI bubble's about to burst. NVIDIA has finally had it. They're heading back down. Things like that. A lot of them are clickbaity type titles. And that's exactly what they are. Those will get the views because, let's say you're investing in NVIDIA and you're happy and everything. And then you see this thing, NVIDIA bubble about to burst. You're going to watch it because you're worried. It's your money. So that's why they do it a lot of times. But be careful. Just, do your due diligence. Look at the fundamentals. The fundamentals are never going to steer you wrong. Except for with black swan events. A black swan event like the pandemic, everybody went down. And there's nothing you could do about it. You went down. But if you sold because you're like, oh my God, the world's falling apart. That's what I know people who sold at that pandemic drop. And I'm like, no, because, within a few months, all of that loss was pretty much gone. Depending on the company, but Oh, yeah, a lot of people really, really kind of messed up on that one. So not too shabby, not too shabby. All right, I want to talk a bit about jobs, but before we talk about jobs, let's visit our charts for the last time, especially since we have me shrunken down as is. So we did finish with the TSX down 0.83%, S&P 500 up about 0.5%. NASDAQ up 1%, gold up 1% in the 1.37, silver up 2.71, WTI down a little bit, almost 1% down, and Bitcoin 1.11% down. The heat map, once again, a lot of red in Canada, and nothing. There's not a lot to, unless you're buying. If you were buying today, you probably found some deals, at least the second half of the day, because we were up initially in the morning. In the morning, we actually had a green market. So, definitely something to look at. Who were the big winners today? Let's actually get rid of the losers. I'm going to get rid of even those near losers as well. We'll get rid of them as well. So yeah, you can sort of see a pass 2.66% up. OGC 3.9. Oh, and there's a 3.68. So it might be OCG. So Ocean Gold Corporation. And they're a gold and copper producer. So go figure. Well, gold is up. That makes sense. Aritzia, bring up Aritzia. So Aritzia, actually, this week coming up, Aritzia has their earnings report. So we'll have to see how that goes. And I'll tell you, just give me a second here. Let's go over here. Let's see, ATZ, Aritzia, good old Aritzia. We'll go to their 6 month. Okay, so let's see here. Well, they've been flat, so it's kind of interesting when it comes to their earnings. They might come out as expected. It's just because you got to look at that earnings report ends at what, the end of June. So there we go. So they did have a bit. They had this rally here at the end, so they actually may do okay on earnings. So we'll have to look at Aritzia and sort of see how that's going to look. But yeah, those of you who are fans of Aritzia, you'll either meet expectations or you might have exceeded them a little bit with this last pump in the quarter. All right. Yeah. What do we got here? There we go. This here, once again, are just our heat map of our. Oh, check it out. Here's cash over here. Cash, it's funny. You see this up 0.06, but that's just the way cash works. If you look at it, it's a pattern. Normally, it's about $50 and it moves up to like what, $50, 20 cents, 16 cents, whatever. And it just does this over and over again every single month. But it's not a bad place to park some cash and get an almost 5% dividend on that. So we'll leave cash alone at the moment. All right. And the US, once again, not too shabby. As you can see, Meta, we talked about. Google had a good day. Amazon, Walmart, and Costco, and Tesla's still pumping. So not too shabby there. And not a lot of green in crypto. Not a lot of fun, positive crypto stories. Unless you're a Solana fan. Solana did well, and Polkadot too, right down here. Polkadot 4.42. So not too shabby there. Okay. Whoops. Let's actually shrink the screen here for a moment. All right, we'll get back here. Kevin says, folks have been saying AI is a bubble for a year now. Exactly. AI is the future, 100%. It's not any bubble. We're in the transformation now, have been for a while. Yeah, it goes back to when the internet first came out. People were like going, oh yeah, that's never going to stick around. That's not going to change the world. People will play with it a bit, but everybody will get bored of it. Yeah, it didn't happen. Now, we did have a lot of companies that, of course, exploded on, look at the .com. Look at the .com. A lot of those companies did not survive. And that'll be the same thing with AI. There will be a lot of companies that, they throw AI in their title and all of a sudden they're worth more. A lot of those companies are going to go by the wayside. But the bigger ones, so your companies like your NVIDIAs, your Microsoft, Apple, those companies are not going by the wayside, and they're going to do really well through this tech boom. So, gonna be interesting. Any hopium? Diamond hand hodling AMC. Oh, that's a, it's I want to call it a meme stock at this point. It's yeah, it's one of these things. So when Wall Street Bets gets together and they're like, okay, let's pump this stock. Sometimes it can go up really high, but the problem is, unless you're in at that beginning when the pump is just starting, um, you're probably going to lose money. Especially when you start looking at some of the especially like a lot of people in the US, when all of a sudden Robinhood starts suspending trading. Oh boy, that's never good. That's never good. When all of a sudden you're watching what's happening and you can't get out, and you've got all these profits, you can't take them. So, and then it falls. By the time you get trading back, it's too late. You're already deep in the hole. So I always say, be careful. If you happen with your play money, if you have, if somebody were to, sort of give you the inside scoop, you could certainly take a try. But I would be very, 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 very careful. Just, now, I will say this. One thing I will say, and this goes to the diamond hand part. If I tried to jump in on one of these pumps on like an AMC or GameStop, for example, if I got in and I got caught in that hole on the way up and going back down, and I got into a position where I, was going to lose a bunch of money, I would probably diamond hand it and wait for the next one and then get off right away. Get off early before, even before it's done, it's finished its pump. I would be getting off. I would take maybe I'd get a little bit of profits, but yeah, it's always scary. Jonathan says, I am late, but I can't miss a minute of this. So I'm watching from the start. There we go. Vic says, anyone watch Strongman? Blistering rebuke. Watch Strongman blistering rebuke of finfluencers. I've seen a few. I've seen a few videos where people have come out and have attacked finfluencers, and some finfluencers probably deserve to be attacked. Not all. Like there are, especially in the States. I mean, in the US, we had this one period, like before we went into the bear market, it was pretty crazy. You'd get a lot of the pump and dumps happening. You'd go in and you'd watch some popular finfluencer and they would be like, yeah, tattooed chef is going to be the next best thing. And they would basically talk their viewership into buying tattooed chef. Well, what you didn't know is that they invested in Tattoo Chef the day before, and then they were waiting for all of their giant following to start buying into it so that they could sell out later that day, take a profit, and then when everything doesn't go out, and when it doesn't work out the next week, they might be like, man, yeah, we sure all took a loss on that Tattooed Chef, even though they're lying through their teeth because they didn't take a loss. They played the game. There are people out there that are like that. And, I always say when you're looking at a finfluencer, go in with a grain of salt. Listen to what they're teaching. Sure. Learn from them. Sure. Get ideas. Okay. But don't just go in blindly. If I come up here and I start talking about canoe and I start breaking it down and pulling it up and say, okay, these are the reasons I love canoe. Well, you got to remember, those are the reasons I love canoe. You have to find your own reasons. They could end up being the same reasons, but that's why the whole due diligence thing is really, really important, right? Going in and doing your own research, because if you don't do your own research, let's say, for example, before the show, I fell, I hit my head on, I don't know, something hard. And I start coming off with a bunch of gibberish. But because I've given all kinds of great advice in the past. People are like, oh, okay, well, we don't understand the logic, but Candace said it, so it has to be right. And you don't do any due diligence. And then, it was more or less, it was a concussion talking, not me. Well, at that point, um, if things fall apart, you'll be like, you'll want to blame me. And sure, that's fine. I don't mind. I mean, if I make a bad call and you want to be like, you idiot, I'm like, sure, fine, do it. That's fine. Just use polite if you're ever going to attack me, because I made a mistake or because I gave some bad advice. When you're doing it in YouTube, though, use polite words to do it, because otherwise the filter, there's nothing worse than if you write like this whole flaming big article and you're like, there we go, I got you. And then YouTube goes and just deletes it. Nothing worse. And that will happen. Like, for example, if you start using profanity, that will definitely happen. But here's the thing. As far as I know, I try not to, I do my research, and what I bring to you is my observation. So I think they're good. Do I make wrong calls? Yeah, absolutely. Every investor. You could even take Warren Buffett as an example if you want to go to the other end. They're going to make bad calls. They will. But to be a good investor, your good calls have to outnumber your bad calls. So that's why, as somebody who's learning, if you're learning about investing, or if you're looking just for ideas, fantastic. I've got all the ideas for you. I got all the education for you, but I don't have the due diligence. I have my due diligence, but you still need to bring your due diligence to the table. So I always say that be careful with, and especially if anybody comes out and tries to tell you something that sounds too good to be true, then you want to do more than just your due diligence. You want to be very wary at the same time. All right, moving on. Jay says Saudi Arabia just dumped the US dollar in favor for biz digital currency. This and the election will be a volatile next couple of months. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting, I think, in the US. And I mean, just right now, the market is already pricing in. It's starting to price in that there's a possibility that Biden won't run. There's a possibility that the Democrats could replace him. I've heard tons of different ideas, whether it be some of them have him stepping down early and having Kamala take over and become the first woman president, and having her run against Trump. So it's going to be interesting. And it's interesting too, if that were to happen. This is the funny thing. So when Biden beat Trump, back 4 years ago, I I have this sinking feeling that that Biden may not finish his term. Well, we're darn close to me being wrong on that, and I'm happy for that. But there is still that little sliver. There's that little sliver that could happen. So we'll have to see. Now, what I have gotten from the stuff I've listened to is that if he is going to step down, he's probably going to do it sooner than later. Now, they do have a national convention in August, so they could basically select a new candidate at that point if it came down to that. But it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what's happening. Now, I know there's a lot of speculation out there, but everything I've heard from him himself, where he's been talking, he's like, nope, I'm not going anywhere. But we'll have to see. I think it's going to be very interesting. Jonathan said, did Brett and his cat go down with the ship on the SS Lazio? Maybe. Maybe. I did say that Brett and his cat could be on that SS Lazio. BlackBerry said the same about iPhone. Yeah. I mean, iPhone is it's never iPhone. One of the reasons, and this is kind of an interesting thing. This is part of the way Apple has the market, is that you have a lot of people, especially older people, who have iPhones, and they're comfortable with those iPhones to the point that they'll never switch. Like, they'll never leave Apple. They'll only have iPhones for that simple reason. Um, but they're never going to switch. I know my mom. My mom uses an iPhone. She'll never switch. If I were to give my mom a Samsung, uh, she probably wouldn't be able to use her phone for months because it would take her that long. So yeah, no, I would just say there's a lot of people that are very comfortable in that ecosystem and they're never switching. My case, I'll never switch only because I use I use a lot of Apple products. I have a pretty solid Apple ecosystem. And when you're looking at an ecosystem for Apple, for example, things work so well together that you can't beat it. And you can't kind of mix things up. Like if I were to bring in like an Apple computer, it's not going to seamlessly, it's not even going to, it's going to be more inconvenient than anything else because I won't be able to sort of drag and drop things from computer to computer. I won't be able to airdrop in a second. Yeah, simple as that. Kevin says, AMC, GME, DJD, yeah, all junk stocks. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, the whole idea behind what Wall Street did is they were looking for stocks that were going to be shorted. They were looking for stocks that, the institutions were shorting because these were junk stocks per se. And that's what they did. That's why they did something called a short squeeze on that by basically all of these institutions had bought the stocks to short it. And when all of a sudden all the retail came in and started buying them like crazy, they pushed the price up and all of a sudden liquidated all of these short sellers who then had to replace the stocks because their stocks had all been purchased. So they had to replace them. And they had to, as a result, they had to buy them at higher price level, which created even more buying pressure and pushing that price up. So, yeah, I know there's a movie out there about it. A few people have told me, I've mentioned it. I haven't seen it yet, but it's probably worth a watch. Bismarcky says costs skyrocketed this week. I used to have their headphones back in the day. Yeah, I think they do make a pretty good headphones. That's for sure. Kevin says, investing in GME, DJT, etc. is meme stocks and just like playing the slot machines at a casino. Yeah, it's one of those situations like it's hard to, unless you're like, if you're an avid Wall Street bets and you all know, like, there's 100,000 people who are going to start buy bombing this stock at open on tomorrow, then yeah, that's the only case I think where you could make some money. But even then, the problem is people get greedy, right? It's going to go up and it's going to go up high. But the problem is you don't know when Robinhood or whatever broker you're using, you don't know if they're going to suspend it or if all of a sudden you can't trade or it just overwhelms things and nothing works. So you kind of have to, in a situation like that, take a little and then get out. Kevin says Democrats will never get in the next general election. It's interesting. I mean, yeah, Trump is playing a very strong game right now. But I think right now, I look at it this way. Against Biden, I think it's going to be tough for Biden to win just after, especially if he continues to have, he has one more debate. And if it turns out to be as bad as this one, that would be not good. So if the Democrats put anybody else in, I think they'd still have a better chance. Can they beat Trump? I don't know. It's kind of that funny thing. It's like the first time Trump came along going up against Hillary Clinton, I didn't think he could win. I don't think many people thought he could win, and he did. It was a surprise. It was like, holy cow, what has just happened? So we have to see. We have to see how this is all going to turn out. Vic says Gramps loves his flip phone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I have not used a flip phone for a very long time. Very long time for sure. All right, we're coming up on the end of the stream, guys. If you got your last minute questions, throw them in. Also, if you haven't hit that like button yet, be sure to do it because it makes my coffee taste better. Mm. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely good. Whew. Kevin says, I still have my old StarTAC flip phone. Vic, you remember them? Joe says, how do you feel about American Hotel Income Properties REIT? Ah, let's take a look. Let me see here. I'm going to pull this back up here. All right. All right. American Hotel Income Properties REIT. Here we are. Hot.un. All right. So I'll pull up our 3-year here and we can sort of see. So they've been, let's actually go to the 10-year. So yeah, they've been going down. Like right here, even before the pandemic, there's been a slight movement down. And it's kind of funny. So they normally sat like I would say probably if we were going average wise, I would put them in here about 830 would be a good average. They were above it for a while. So now when you look at them, you probably first thing you say when you see 50 cents, you're like, oh, it's a penny stock. But they technically weren't a penny stock until the pandemic came along, and even then they did start to recover. You notice how they did the same thing, then bear market and rates. So that has hurt them big time. Being down at 50 cents, yikes. Now it's giving me no data in here. A lot of times when I see no data in there, usually means that we're going to be in a non-profitable situation. So let's take a look. And yeah, here we are. Return on equity. It's not deep, but it's there. Negative 0.06%. Same thing with return on assets. So the nice thing about this, rate cuts are probably going to be good for them because look at this. Rate cuts will absolutely be good for them, but this is huge. Their debt to equity ratio, 341%. So they've pretty much been financing themselves. Oh, let's bring this back here. They've pretty much been financing themselves a lot with debt. They've probably taken on a lot of debt through the bad times. So that's their issue right now. That debt is absolutely throttling them. So that's not good. Not good at all. They're going to be one. So even when we compare this to TNT will recover faster than American Hotels, I think. I think that they have a lot of debt. That's a lot of servicing. That's going to keep them down for a bit. Rate cuts will help them, but they're probably going to need to have quite a few. I think they're going to probably be one of these companies that you won't see as much movement on this towards the upside until into 2025. So you probably won't see any this year. You might see a tiny bit, but not much, not much. So I would say, if you're going to park a little bit of money into hot, you could do it, but don't expect returns on it anytime fast. It's probably going to take a while. So just something to keep in mind. You get your Starbucks sponsor yet? No, I didn't. I got somebody else who was just their name kind of annoyed me. Let me just take a look here. Whoops, taking you guys inside of some mail there. I probably shouldn't be doing that. What is this company? Yeah, fastbull.com. I don't know what they are, but they wanted a quote for a 30-second to 1 minute advertisement embedded in my video. Let's take a look. To me, that sounded sketchy right off the bat, but fastbull.com. What the heck is fastbull.com? I'm going into this blind. I probably shouldn't. Let's see. Okay. Oh, it's a charting software. Faster charts, chat faster. What does that mean? Chat faster. Okay, well, there's some kind of a charting company, it looks like. Let's see, signals, brokers. Okay. So Fastbull. All right. Well, I will say this. They whoops, pull this back up so I can see that. They're not as sketchy as I thought, but I'll have to look at it. I don't know if I want a commercial for Fastbull in one of my videos, but I don't know anything about them, so it's unfair for me to say no right away. But yeah, I have to look at that and see. For me, it's one of these situations where somebody who reaches out to me and I've never heard of them before, I get a little hesitant. So, but we'll leave that. We'll leave that for now. Okay, let's leave Fastball. What's your opinion on First Solar? All right, well, let's go back to Fastball. And we'll leave Fastball. I'll just X out of Fastball. BNN Bloomberg. Okay. Discord. Here we are. All right. Let's see. Who are we looking at here? First Solar. I have heard of First Solar. Here we are. All right. So First Solar. All right. Let's take a look at that 3-year. So definitely had some nice growth. Of, a little bit of a retracement. Now this sometimes happens. You always have to. This is the way I always treat things like this. When I'm starting to look at longer terms, I'll look at the general trend, and when the bottom on this side is higher than where it was before going into it, I'm like, okay, that's, to me, that makes that a correction, opposed to we're in trouble. So that's not too shabby. Now they are a growth, but look at this. They got a nice looking EPS 9.54. When we look at what they do, well, of course, they make solar panels. And that's big. That's going to be big as we move into green energy. Now, let's go into some key data here. And once again, we got, it's 13.27 a return on equity. That's not too bad. 8.93 return on assets. That's not bad at all. That's okay. They don't have, look at this, they only got a 9% debt to equity ratio. So definitely a strong looking company. They're growing. There's going to be a demand for their products. So I would say this is not a bad company at all. Yeah, they're solid. They're solid. They're going to grow. I don't know. I couldn't tell you when you'll start to see dividends from a company like this. It really depends on how big they grow. But it'd be interesting to see if they have any, if they have like a share split down the road a little bit. Because, when you start to get up around this 222, sometimes it can be advantageous to just sort of cut that in half. But we'll have to sort of see. So not a bad company, Mohammed. Stay away from American Hotel. Bismarcky says, there we go. And that's that hot. Yeah. They, like I said, their debt, crazy. Jay, what is good ETF during a recession? I'm not 100% firm buying ZLB. Good question. Really, you have to sort of look at the way things are going. So even if we went into a recession, I don't see the U.S. going into a recession. So keep that in mind. That instantly tells me, okay, well, maybe ETFs that are holding a basket of American stocks are probably going to do better. That makes sense. How are the sectors going in the U.S.? Well, tech is doing good. So, maybe a heavy tech ETF, or at least one that has exposure to that sector, will probably do really, really good. And look down here. Kevin's just jumping in and saying, yeah, recession-proof ETF, in my opinion, is the NASDAQ 100 or other tech. Yeah. Tech is definitely doing good. FHS, NetUn was part of your weekly distribution. Appreciate your thought. Your current review with this. Thanks. And TGIF. Net. Let's go back here and take a look at net. NET. Here we go. Whoops. Let's just go to NET. All right. So this is a Canadian Net Real Estate Investment Trust. So it is on the venture. So the TSXV. All right. Let's take a look here at the 3-year. So you can see it's had the same kind of issue here. Actually, I want to go. Actually, I really want to go to we'll go to the 5-year for now. So you can sort of see it had the same kind of issue. Let's go to the 10-year. All right. So now this one's a bit different for REITs. Look at this. So we actually had quite a bit of a buildup prior to the pandemic, and then it recovered and it went back to building again. And then we went into the bear market, the interest rate hikes. So this is kind of interesting. So we got $5 right now. and it was up around 8. So, I think it'll probably get back up there because it has overall, like if you were to draw a line in here, it's going to be an upward slope, and that's not too shabby. And I think it will get back up there as it moves. Now, dividend wise, 6.79, not too shabby. And I can already tell you right now, we got a PE ratio positive. They're going to look okay when it comes here. Let's take a look at how much debt they have. All right. All right. Now, I don't have a return on equity. They just didn't report it. That's probably why. But 5.96% a return on assets. That's solid. That's solid. I don't have a debt to equity ratio on this one either. So, but let me see why. There's a reason for that. Now that the fact that it's a trust. So they probably have multiple investments within it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so they are an open-ended trust that inquires and highs high-quality triple net management-free commercial real estate properties. Yeah, so that's I still think this is pretty solid. There's probably a management fee of some sort on this as well. You'd have to go to the actual website for them to find that out, but it's not a bad company. And I do think that as we get the rate cuts, their underlying assets are going to benefit from that, and that will benefit the Canadian net. So it will benefit net. So I can see net getting back up to $8 though. Now, mind you, it's probably going to take the rest of this year and next year to get into that ballpark. Let's see. Recession-proof, my opinion. Oh, we already got that one. AI is going to power through everything. The global powers that be want up, tracked, and chipped, and to control every aspect of our lives. All right. Well, that's kind of more on the conspiracy side. But yeah, there is a big push for AI, and that's not going to stop. Yeah, HXQ, definitely a good ETF. Let's see, full self-driving cars, robotics, it's all on a huge up move, and with accelerated compute, advancing this fast at an unbelievable rate, it's getting to the finish line faster every day. Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. Kids who are born today will probably never have to get driver's license because everything will be self-driving. And you take a kid who's born today, you'll tell them stories about when you used to drive, and they'll be like, "Oh man, you're so old." So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. All right, everybody. This is a great show. We are back, of course, on Sunday. We have a market close. We have this week. We've got a lot of good news articles, stories, and the chat is always doing great on the weekend. So can't wait. So we'll be back on Sunday. We'll be back next week with more videos. And next week, is it next week? No, I keep thinking it's next week. I think it's the week after next. We'll have the membership. Oh, I just almost forgot. This week on Sunday, it's the first of this month, which means there will be some free memberships dropping. So that is something to be fun with. And before we get there, give me 1 second here. I'm going to make me big again. There we go. All right. Give me 1 second here. All right, I'm going to drop one free membership right now, and there's a reason for my madness. All right, it's coming. It's coming. It's going to happen here any moment. All right, here we go. Al Bundy won. Al Bundy, who I don't think I saw Al Bundy today. I don't think he made it today, but yeah, he'll definitely be here on Sunday. If underneath this little announcement of the gifted membership, if there's another little box and it's gray, has like a link or something in it. And I think it mentions like you have to be you have to enable a gifting to be able to receive a gift. So make sure that's turned on if you see that, because if it's not, you cannot win. And thanks to Nine, who was also not here today, we did find out that if your YouTube channel is a brand channel, apparently you can't get gifts either. So if you're a brand channel, you can't win. And if you don't turn it on, you can't win. So those are just the couple of options that are there. But other than that, we'll see you guys on Sunday. And congratulations once again to Al Bundy, who probably will catch this on the replay. And for the rest of you, Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday. Take care, everybody.